So I just want to get started on the Russell 2000 today because I think the Russell 2000 has a very interesting situation that is developing as we speak here. So as you can see, if I go ahead and zoom out and go to a daily time frame, we can already see that the Russell 2000 here is approaching major support and currently is trying to bounce off. Of course, we'll see how today closes, but right now Russell is at a critical level because we're in this entire level of support here. And even if I go down into a smaller time frame like the 1 hour, as you can see, where we've come down to this critical point. What do I call a critical point? Well, a critical point is something that Jesse Livermore, a famous trader, very famous Wall Street trader, he was very successful. You know, he called it a critical point because it's an area where the market had stalled or where there was a lot of reactions, a lot of supply or demand. And as you can see here, this would be the critical point that I'm talking about here, this entire little sideways movement. And we came up and then we crashed right back into this point right here. Whenever the market opened at midnight here in France, I sent out a tweet talking about this critical point, and for now we're still holding above. It is a very interesting place because I do think that we could continue to go down. You know, if we get through this critical, as Jesse Livermore would say, let's say we start bouncing off here, break this high, okay, then maybe we're getting a little bit more information that the Russell wants to go higher. You know, if you wanted to go long, this little area right here was, to me, the area to go long. Going long right now, I don't really know. I mean, we are getting above the 20 period moving average. We still do have the 200 above. I think the 50 here is crossing the 200. Yeah, so maybe that's why the rally is happening. We're rallying back towards the 50. And if we get another lower high here or get a slightly higher high and turn around the 50, turn around the 200 here on the 1 hour chart of futures for the Russell, then I think you could go a little bit lower, and you know, maybe test these lows, get a slightly lower low, and that would actually trigger a lot of bullish divergences across time frames, as you can see here, the 4 hour time frame, where we would actually probably get a bullish divergence with the lows from the 4th of October, so the beginning of this critical area. So like I said, you know, these critical areas are pretty good to trade. Let me just go ahead and get that little parallel. As you can see, maybe this is the sort of channel we're gonna grind down in, you know, something like this here until we get a divergence. Maybe, you know, we'll get divergences across many time frames, but this is an interesting level. Now, if we do break critical, we have a few levels of support here right underneath. So we have this level of support at 17,000. I mean, at 1,702. So 1,700. Just below 1,700 at 1689. And then, of course, we have this big critical level here, which is 1640, where I think the Russell could find some buyers because it is getting pretty oversold. So we'll be watching to see what happens with the Russell. Do we get the turn right now at these levels, or do we go a little bit lower to a further critical point? We'll be watching. I just want to talk also about US 500 here. So US 500, let's go ahead and pull up the hourly chart. As you can see, I have a few trend lines coming in. Let's just go back out here a little bit and see what that is. Let me just get rid of a bunch of these trend lines here. I'm sorry. So, okay, right now I'm on the daily chart of US 500. We broke this trend line. I'm not too sure what this trend line is. I'm going to take it off, even though we had a pretty good reaction to it. What was that trend line? Let's see. Maybe on a closing basis? No, not even. So I'm not really sure what this is. Oh, it is the parallel to this. Okay, yeah. So it's the parallel trend line to our top trend line here, which kind of moved on me, but it's the parallel to that one. As you can see, we got a little reaction surrounding it here when within the rally. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this for now. We do have this bottom boundary here, which is what everybody's looking at this point, I'm guessing. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a parallel to that one actually, and boom, place it right there on my chart as the upper boundary now of our channel. So there you go. These are our channels. We do have some sort of a wedge that's maybe developing here on US 500. Let's switch to the 4 hour chart. Do we have any divergences? Right now we did get a slight divergence here, another reference point right here, and then if we come back down here, probably indicating to us that we're going sideways at the moment, probably in a bottoming process before S&P gets another a bigger rally. Now, we could also just start crashing and keep going, but you know, if that happens, we're going to have to change our minds about what's going on here. We might have to say, okay, maybe we have a scenario where the top is in. But to me, that's not happening if we take out these lows. That's really if we start going down and start taking out some serious levels. But we'll still be watching what the signals tell us. So right now, let's just go ahead and zoom into the hourly chart here for the US 500. So as I told you, I posted a tweet here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Bucket Shop Trades. I mean, at @the_Bucket Shop, Bucket Shop Trades here. I post in real time every day and during the weekend about things that I'm seeing. I've been warning you about Bitcoin. We'll be talking about that. And as you can see here at the open, I posted something talking about the S&P being just above its 200 period moving average on the 1 hour chart of futures, which we're going to take a look at, the black line there. And then consistent rejection at the 10 and 20 period SMA in this time frame are the most bearish moves. So basically, when you're getting a very bearish phase, a very bearish sell-off, you're going to get consistent reactions around this 10 and 20 period moving average. For now, that's what we're getting, okay? So we're not out of the woods yet. I'm not saying this is a bottom. We could, as I've been calling since about probably this level, we were, NASDAQ managed to get back into its bear flag, by the way, which we'll be looking at. But since this level, I've been telling you, I think this is a bottoming process. I think shorts were squeezed right here because everybody was so bearish and there were a ton of short positions. I think they got back into it here and that they're going to let people sell all the way back down to probably a new low, in my opinion, to really accumulate as many shares as they want. Big institutions, big players, the whales, they need to unload and load up on shares. And it's not like you and me putting in whatever, even whether it's 100, 1,000, 50,000, $100,000, they have billions, millions, if not billions of dollars here that they're trying to place into the market. So they can't just sell their entire position right here because the market would probably drop. I don't know how much, but they would definitely lose money on that trade. So they need ranges, they need areas to be able to accumulate their shares. And that's why usually at the end of a move before a reversal, you usually get a a pattern developing, like a wedge or something of that nature. Do we have a wedge developing right now on SPX? Maybe. As you can see here, we have a 3. I don't know if this is a 3. Maybe it's a 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am still leaning towards this maybe being a 3, 3. This looks like another 3. This looks like another 3, especially on NASDAQ. And so maybe here we get another 3 here. If I just go in a little bit of the bigger time frame, like the 4-hour chart, as you can see, those are the 3 waves. Maybe S&P got 5 waves. I don't know. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could also be 1, 2, 3. This entire thing is 4 here because we haven't moved above 1. And now we're getting the 5th wave here in our C wave. So we're still watching to see what happens. We do have these levels of support here surrounding the S&P. But at the moment, the 1-hour chart is still pointing towards a little bit more downside. The moving averages are in a bearish arrangement. We're under the 50. We're under the 10. Well, we're right around this 10 and 20 area. So if we can start getting back up here, getting back above the 50, we'll see if we can hold above that 50 for more than 1 or 2 hours, and then we'll see what happens following that. So there you go for US 500. Now, finally, US 100. US 100 has been doing some pretty interesting things here. We came down, we formed this little base level of support. Had some sort of, we had the sell-off here with the CPI, and then we rallied. And now we've come up to a very interesting level here. As you can see, we got rejection surrounding this level on US 100 here, this critical level that I was talking to you about. Now, US 100 did get above that here by a few points, but then we crashed. Okay, so I'm not too sure exactly what that means for now. We are finding a little bit of support at the 200 for now, but that's not very convincing to me for now. We're still under the 10, still under the 20, under the 50. They're pointing down, and we're above the 200. So now the question is, can we take this 200 out? What happens? If I just show you the cash index of the NASDAQ on the 1-hour chart, as you can see, we're right there surrounding the 50 and the 200. We're selling off into a positive crossing of the moving averages of the 50 and the 200. So maybe that's a good sign. As you can see, we got a little higher low here on the index, on the cash index. So usually this is what you were looking for, a little bit of a higher low. Even though this doesn't look like much, we still got a higher low. Like this low right here was higher than this low. So buyers bought this up, and then they decided to buy this area up. can we break through? If we can get below this level, then I think it can usher in maybe a bigger crash here, rebound back to the 200, bigger crash, or if we just get above it here, that might just be it for the sell-off, and we might just keep rallying, keep squeezing the shorts out, because now maybe everyone's thinking, oh, we're going to start crashing. So it's going to be very important to see what the open holds, and then if we can get above this 50 period moving average on the 15-minute time frame for the Nasdaq. As I said, we do have the 10 and the 20 on the hourly chart here for Nasdaq on the cash index above us, so we do still have to get above those levels. But at the moment, I mean, you can't really tell. We're kind of in the middle of this entire channel. I do think Nasdaq, you do have this level here to watch on the Nasdaq. We got the little 3 reactions to it. This is actually kind of like a mini head and shoulders type thing if you count this as the entire head, but nothing too convincing for me. It does look like we're going sideways. We've been going sideways since June. So we haven't sold off strongly. If I go back to a time like right here in a few months, like we weren't going sideways. Here we were going sideways. You see, here we went sideways from November all the way up till December. But once we broke out of that sideways range, there was no more sideways going on. And once you start selling off, then you'll notice it. So really looking for the signs of what's going to happen. We do have big levels of support here. We do have the 10 period moving average on the monthly time frame, 10-month moving average sitting right below us. Let's see what level that is. 14,097 is the 10-month moving average, a big level that I'm keeping my eyes on. As you can see here on the monthly chart, we came up, we rallied up, and then now we're getting rejection for now. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this chart at the end of the month. And for the week, we kind of rallied. We got rejection. Wow, okay, I hadn't actually seen this, but we actually closed below the 10 and below the 20. So this can actually be viewed as a very bearish pattern. These 3 candlesticks, usually you can get like a move, and then you get 3 kind of corrective candlesticks like these, and then you get another big red bar. So are we going to get another big red bar this week to kind of capitulate everyone? Very possible. So we'll really be watching to see what happens. Nasdaq also has a 200 period moving average here on the daily sitting underneath. So a lot of support for now. We haven't tagged it in a while. Let's just go ahead and look back at US 100. So yeah, now, we're still sitting above the 10 period moving average here in the daily time frame on futures within the Globex session. So that's pretty positive. But we're going to have to watch what happens here at these moving averages. Let me just go into a 5-minute chart. Okay, as you can see, we came back down to an interesting level, found a little bounce, but we are once again rallying into a 50 that's crossing with the 200. So usually when you get a crossing of the moving averages here, you get a rally into them. And I've usually noticed, like, if you're getting a bearish crossing and you rally into it, find rejection, then you're going lower, and a lot lower, especially if the 50 is crossing the 200. So this is the 5-minute chart here. Of course, you have to keep in mind which chart you're looking at. If you have this scenario happening on a daily chart, it's going to mean a much more bearish move. I mean, a longer term move than this happening on the 5-minute chart here. Maybe this just crashes. Maybe this was all we got here. We bounce off the 20 and then we start moving back up. So super, super important to be watching support and resistance, to be watching the moving averages, because that's basically how you want to do it. You don't really care about what's being said, about what everyone's saying, what everyone's getting caught up into. Just look at the moving averages and just look at what the market's telling you. Just literally look at what the market tells you. Rejection. Do we get rejection again and move lower? That's bearish. If we get above it, retest it, fake out a few people here and then get a big candle this way, probably moving up. So we'll still be watching what happens here surrounding the moving averages. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about on this is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is very interesting because we know Bitcoin has a positive correlation with the stock market. At least it has in the past most of the time. Right now, not so much, but let's just, where's Bitcoin? Where's my Bitcoin? Here we go. All right, so Bitcoin, I do need to get it on a weekly time frame, but right now Bitcoin's sitting just below its 200 period moving average in the daily time frame. As you can see here, I posted a tweet talking about this as I saw it happen. And if we can get above the 200 here, which is also the 200 week moving average, Big move up potentially in store for Bitcoin. But if we fail here, if we stall, I mean, this is really, really terrible. We're at major, major resistance. And for the moment, I mean, to me, I'm sorry, it doesn't look so good. I mean, we're going to have to see how the week ends, but you opened lower for the week, and then you rallied all the way back up to the 20 week, and now you're finding rejection. Okay, we still have a 200-week moving average that's moving up, so maybe we go and tag this, and then we get above it. That's what bulls need in order to see Bitcoin get a massive, massive rally, because we've been going sideways since March here. You know, we've been going sideways for 31 bars, 31 weeks, 217 days. So the next move that's going to come from this consolidation here is going to be big. And if it is in fact a rejection at the 200-week moving average, then Bitcoin really validates its bear market here and then gets a much, much bigger drop. It could get really bad, I'm telling you. I don't know why I have this. Why have I had a regular? That's why my trend lines have been messed up. I'm sorry about that. So once again, boom, logarithmic time frame, we're getting rejection here. We'll be watching to see what Bitcoin does. This is the trend line from the top. Let's just move back down into a, let's say, 4-hour time frame to see how we're faring around that level. So this is the major trend line. We're right at it right here. We've rallied into it, and now we've stalled. And that started at 10. Right now it's 11:36, so it's been an hour and a half, and we've stalled for now. We need to get above this trend line sometime soon. The positive sign that I was telling you about right about this time here is that we did manage to get a little higher low beneath the moving averages. What did I tell you about, higher low beneath the moving averages? When everyone gets scared, oh, we've broken the 200. Oh, okay, we got back. Oh, we're crashing back down. No. You're forming a higher low. I don't care if the higher low is 1 point. It's a higher low. It means buyers stepped in. You always want to follow what the market tells you. So there you go. I mean, Bitcoin will be watching it very closely. I think if Bitcoin gets a big move, Solana could get a massive, massive move. I called the bottom here at $17. I missed the big bottom. I'm not gonna lie to you. That one, I wasn't ready for that one. But I was part of that capitulation. They capitulated me. But I hadn't bought it, but I was looking for a bottom. I missed it here. I thought that we would get a bottom here because we had this little wedge pattern developing. Let me just pull it out. We had this sort of wedge pattern here that we came right back down with major divergences here, as you can see in the 4-hour time frame on the daily chart. Across multiple time frames, we had divergences, and we bounced off the lower level, got a little head and shoulders, never looked back. Now we've come up here, corrected a little bit. We're still right above the 200 period moving average on Solana, so we'll be watching to see what happens here. We had a 3% day yesterday. Do we continue to move up, or do we crash today with the market? Does the market crash today and crypto crashes today and everyone thinks Bitcoin is crashing off the 200? Maybe Bitcoin crashes off the 200. It goes down 50% this week. I don't know. We'll be watching. I'm telling you, the next move is going to be big. So if you're invested into these markets, make sure you manage risk. Make sure you take the appropriate steps to make sure you can trade tomorrow again. Don't get wiped out. Be smart, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.